Hi, welcome, and I hope you're doing well. Here I have the custom gaming computer, and this is built by NZXT. And the computer is very new, it's about 3 months old, and something happened to the motherboard. I'm not sure what happened to it. There wasn't any power outage or anything, so the motherboard just died. And in this video I'll be doing a step-by-step on how to replace the motherboard. So let me kind of give you a little bit picture and angle about this desktop here. So here is the side panel, and this is the front side of it. Okay, which is also a glass, and this is the back side of it. And I gotta apologize about the angle on the camera. I'm not able to show you entirely, and I do not have a camera crew to film it. Everything is just all by myself, and hopefully you're able to follow the steps. So what I'll be doing is I'll move the object and to make sure that it is actually captured onto the camera. Now on the side panel, the glass here, there's only one screw. So once you loosen up the screw, you can just actually slide the side panel towards yourself, and that would be removing the side panel. Alright, well, I just put the side panel on the side. I do not want to break the glass. Here you can see, and I explained to you, this is the water cooling, and this is built by NZXT, and the reservoir, the heatsink, is on the right side. So like I said, the front here, there are two fans, which is the glass. As you can see, the CPU fan is right here. Sorry, the 120mm intake fan, which is intake of the fresh air, the cold air coming in to cool off the heatsink, the reservoir blowing off the hot air, and these two are the exhaust going out to that back of the computer, and this exhaust is going out to away from the desktop. Okay, so we have identified it is coming from the motherboard. The computer is not turning on. We tested the power supply. I have that in a separate video, and you can check the description. You can check the link in the description. And right now in this video here, I'm actually going to replace the motherboard itself. Alright, here is the graphics card, and this graphics card is RTX 3090. And let's go ahead and take things out. So let me go ahead and turn it around. I like to work on this direction right here. The first thing I'll do is to remove the graphics card, because that is one of the biggest item here. So I remove one screw, and this side panel comes out. There are 3 screws holding onto the graphics card, so go ahead and remove them. I'm just using a regular Phillips screwdriver. Alright, 3 of them removed. Put it on the side. You can go ahead and disconnect the 8-pin connector. This is 8-pin PCIe. Go ahead and disconnect them. This is a special connector from NVIDIA, right? So it draws 16-pin 8 and 8 into this into this 8-pin here to the graphics card. Okay, once I have removed the 3 screws, remove the power, I'm going pressing down the clip. This graphics card PCIe, there's a clip onto it. Once you press it down, I'm referring to this clip. Once you press it down, you can pull up the graphics card, and there you go. And that's how you remove this graphics card. Alright, so this is RTX 3090. It's pretty heavy. I'm not sure how heavy this is. By feeling the weight, I'm probably thinking it's about 5 pounds, maybe 5 to 7 pounds. That's the weight on this graphics card. Alright, so once the graphics card is removed, the next step I like to do is to remove the RAM. Go ahead and pop open the RAM. So this little clipper, there are both clippers on each side. Once you open up the clipper, you can actually slide the RAM out without any problem. Okay, so 16 gigs of RAM, each of them. Each is 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 16, 32, 48, 64. That's the entire total of the RAM. 64 gigs of RAM. Alright, this is the Western Digital Black Series. and this is the NVMe M.2 SSD drive. Go ahead and remove one screw and slide to your right, and that's how you remove the hard drive. Okay, now the next step I like to do is to detach the heatsink. So this heatsink right here is the water cooling. Let's go ahead and remove the nut. The nut is removable. Once you remove the 4 nuts, and we want to remove the CPU. Okay, so 4 of the nuts is removed. Now we can actually slide it out a little bit, and here is your CPU. Go ahead and press it down and push it to the side a little bit, and that's how you pop open the bracket, and go ahead and lift up the CPU. Now make sure you sit the CPU on a flat surface, something soft, nothing hard. Let me go ahead and close the bracket down. Okay, so now the next step I like to do is to disconnect the cable. Pretty much everything is removed at this point, and now we just have to disconnect some of the cable so that it can come right out. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you one more thing. You need to remove the nut here, and this nut here is to hold the CPU heatsink. You need to transfer this over to the new motherboard. So go ahead and remove that while we are still at it. We need to save the bracket at the back of the motherboard. That bracket is on the other side at the bottom right now, and I'm going to show it to you how to remove that just in a bit. I think the bracket is going to fall off. That's okay, as I expected, because once we remove this, there's nothing holding the back bracket, and the bracket is just fall off into the back panel, which is okay. We can remove it after. So this is the USB 3 for the front. Go ahead and disconnect that. 24 pin connector for the power supply. Go ahead and remove that as well. Disconnect that. This is the SATA for your hard drive. Okay, and this one here is for the power button on the case. Go ahead and remove that on the side. These are the USB and also the lighting for the RGB light. Okay, let's put them on the side here a little bit. I know they want to come back in, but they have to stay out on that side. And go ahead and remove this audio. Okay, now pretty much we have half of the cable disconnected. Make sure right here you remember where goes where. So this one here is actually for the CPU fan, the heatsink, right? And right here is also for the pump. They make it very tight. I tried to I think they probably zip tied it or something on the other side of it. Okay, so this is the main CPU pump, the power to pump the CPU fan connector. Okay, I think the best if you want to do something like this is to remove the fan here in the front, because this exhaust fan here takes up a lot of space, and that seems to be blocking my way. So let me remove that. At least it's a lot easier for me to work things around. Alright, so let me go ahead and move the fan a little bit here to my right. At least I can get into the 8-pin connector, the CPU 8-pin connector, and the 4-pin connector as well. Technically we are pretty much good to go. Everything is disconnected, and let's bring it back down a little bit. At least you guys can see it. And let's go ahead and remove the screw. Okay, so we have one screw here on the top left, top middle, and then top right. One screw here in the middle, and then one screw at the very end. Bottom left, there's one screw here. Bottom middle, and in the very bottom right corner. Okay, so now I feel like the motherboard should be ready to come out without any problem. We might have some challenge getting it out because I did not remove all the essential part here, because I'm trying not to remove everything. I'm just trying to slide it out. So make sure all the wires are not holding onto that side of it. So this motherboard is broken, so I don't have to be really gentle with it. We are replacing with a new one. So I just gotta find a room to slide it up. And there you go. So that's how you remove the motherboard. This is the back thing I was telling you about, that it ends up at the bottom. So we make sure we save that. We need to use that later. This is the Gigabit motherboard. This is the Z490. I'm replacing with the newer version. So I'll be replacing with the same Gigabyte for the newer version. This is the Z590. I think that is the model number. Yep, right here, Z590. And this is the Z490. Yeah, this is the older version and this is the newer one. So the first thing I like to do is to make sure that the bracket here, somewhat goes in there, but I know that's not going to happen because every time when I do it, it's going to fall off. There's no tape. The tape onto it. I can put a tape onto it. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea, and I come back and remove it after. So let me get a tape here. So let me get a tape. Let me go ahead and tape it down. Just to hold the bracket for now, because we are coming back to remove it. You don't have to be really specific on the tape, just to be able to hold the bracket while we screw in the CPU heatsink later. Okay, so this is it, and we want to slide this thing in first, right? We want to align and slide it in. I know this is going to be a challenging process. Just be gentle, take your time, and I know some of you is gonna say, well, I'm not gonna let this guy do it my computer because he you know, it feels like it sounds like scraping the bottom. It's not gentle with it. That's okay. The motherboard doesn't die that easily with the scrape. I'm not scraping the main back of it or the logic board. Is more likely on the side, and the side is not going to damage the motherboard. Just so you know. I know that it is best to remove all the cable. Like I said, you know, this is pre-built, and I do not want to do that because there's a lot of work. Just trying my best. If you do it gently enough, you should be fine with what I just said. Okay, so let's see. We just got to align it. I just want to make sure the cables are not tangled, right? Make sure they are up in a position where we can see them, and we can install them back later. There's one here. What else is there? These are the two CPU. All right, so it goes there. I'm missing one cable. Okay, where is that cable at? Okay, that cable is right there. Okay, this is the back of the the motherboard. Make sure I have the audio speaker is out. Where's the audio speaker? Right there. What is this? USB. Okay, good. Now, right now, the important part is to align them together, right? Okay, I just have them sit in the right position. Let me double check, make sure they're in properly. If they're not in the right position, you can come back and readjust them. It looks like my one is not in the right position. Okay, now it is in the right position. Go ahead and sit it back down. Let's see. Yep, this is good. All right, that was quite a bit of a challenge, but like I said, just, you know, be patient, work your way around it, then no problem after. Okay, put the screws back on. Oops. So far, if you're still following the video, you're almost there. Now we're just putting things back together. This should be very straightforward. It's just a reverse process of what you remove and putting them back together. I did run a bench test on this RTX 3090. You can watch it. It's in my separate video here. I will have it in the link. I'll have the link in the description below. Go ahead and if you're interested to see what is the result. I'm very impressed with the result. It was, I think, 19,000 for the score running the 3D Mark bench test. And the CPU was impressive as well. This is in i9. It reached about 11,000, close to 12,000. think I dropped one of the screw, but that's okay, I can remove it after. Let me go ahead and put that final screw right here. I think it dropped somewhere at the back of the computer. Okay, let's go ahead and install the CPU first. This is the USB 3. Install that. Open up the bracket. I'm going to put in my CPU right now. Okay, it is in the right position. Go ahead and close it down. Since I'm here at it, I might as well just add some of the thermal paste. Once the thermal paste is applied, let me go ahead and make sure I have the cable installed first for the CPU fan. This is the CPU, power up the CPU fan and power up the pump. Well, before I install that, make sure I have the CPU the cable installed as well, because this is quite difficult to put in afterwards. So let's go ahead and make sure we can get it in. And this one as well. So there's an 8-pin connector and a 4-pin connector. Make sure you have the CPU in the right position. Install the power cable, install the pump cable. Okay, once you have that in the right place, do not forget to install this standing bracket. This is the one that is hold on to the CPU heatsink. Okay, once you have that in the right position, go ahead and align the heatsink. Okay, once you have that in the right position, go ahead and put the nut back on. There are 4 nuts. Okay, once I have all the 4 nuts installed, the next step I like to do is to install my RAM. Okay, once the RAM is installed, the next step I'll be installing the hard drive. Remember the CPU fan, remember the exhaust fan, we remove it, so it's for the easy access. Right now we can go ahead and put it back in. Okay, finally we can install the graphics card. Here comes the graphics card. Alright, so once it's installed, make sure you connect the power cable. Okay, so this is the side connector. Go ahead and connect back in, and you want to just screw it. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is to remove the other side panel and remove that missing screw, and also the tape that I tape onto to hold the heatsink. And that should be it. So after that, I can just turn it on, and I know it's gonna work because I have tested it out to run the bench test earlier. So I know the CPU, the motherboard, everything works just fine. And I just wanted to show you how to do the transfer, the replacement on the motherboard. Other than that, I'm just gonna find the missing screw and also remove the tape, and I should be done with this computer. So thanks for watching, and until next time, please take care.